So how much does it cost to operate a BMW E39 M5 for 9 years and 100,000 miles? I'm going to provide you a case study on my car. For me, it's been 50 cents a mile, $5,700 a year, or a total of $56,000. I purchased a 2000 Le Mans Blue E39 M5 at the tail end of the economic downturn in 2010, when people were purging themselves of frivolous and luxurious expenses. With gas prices high and the housing market low, the Toyota Prius was a popular car, not a gas-guzzling, older German luxury sedan like the M5. It was fun going to luxury dealerships looking at cars. There were no lines, and you were treated like royalty. I wanted deals, and the deals that I saw were used high-end luxury cars. I found the M5 and I assumed it was cheap and undervalued because it averaged 19 miles per gallon. You have to remember, at this time, fuel here in the Seattle area was almost $5 a gallon. I also believe that because it was a BMW, especially an M5, that people didn't want it because it was expensive to maintain. So I found my Le Mans Blue M5 with 67,000 miles for $19,500 where I live here in Seattle, and I bought it. For the first 2 years, I enjoyed it before I started worrying about expensive repairs, which really have not come yet. The car has held up very well with a cost that is low for a car of its caliber and low for any sedan according to AAA data. The average cost per mile for a large sedan is 53 cents, and the M5 is currently at 50 cents. So let's talk about the numbers, what assumptions I made, and what my circumstances are. Gasoline adds up. I have spent $18,000 in gasoline to drive 100,000 miles, almost the cost of the car. I have not added up every individual gas receipt, but I know how many miles I've driven, and I know on average what fuel economy I get, which is about 19 miles per gallon driving moderately. I had to make assumptions about the average cost of premium gas for the last 9 years here in Seattle. It varied from a high of $5 a gallon during the economic downturn from 2010 to maybe 2012, which was great, by the way, because the high expense meant less cars on the road and more room for the M5. Then gas went as low as about $3 a gallon for a few years, and now we're sitting pretty at about $3.75 a gallon here in Seattle. I assumed a overall average of $3.50. So again, lifetime cost of gasoline to drive 100,000 miles was $18,000. So the real shining star as far as cost for this car has been depreciation. It's just been very, very good to me. In 2010, the car had a market value of $19,500. That was with 67,000 miles. At least that's what I paid for it. I assume that today I should be able to get at least $12,000 for this car in the year 2019 with 165,000 miles. The difference between the two numbers is the depreciation. It's just a fancy way of saying how much value the car lost. It is a goofy thing to calculate because if I didn't drive the car, I think it would be worth more now than what I paid for it, according to recent Bring a Trailer data and eBay and Craigslist type listings. If you were to buy an M5, 2000 M5 with 50 to 70,000 miles, it's reasonable to assume that the cost would be anywhere from low 20s to about mid 20s for a car like that. I think I bought the car at the bottom of the depreciation curve, and now the value might be creeping up. It could be wishful thinking on my part. Everyone does like to think that they got the best deal on the car and they were a genius with the car that they picked. For me, it's been the right car. But it does look like low mileage E39 M5 prices are going up if you look at the data on Bring a Trailer, which could raise the prices of all M5s a little bit, I hope. Insurance, this is pretty easy to calculate. When I bought the car, I was 27 and the insurance was about $900 a year. It's remained the same for me the rest of the 9 years. My total cost for 9 years to insure the car has been $7,776. Now, maintenance, this is the issue that really had me worried about the car. It's been expensive and cheap. It just sort of depends how you look at it, so I'm going to say yes, it can be both. The total maintenance cost, again, is $17,600. It's expensive, but sadly, most of the cost is rubber and wear items. Tires last about 20,000 miles and they cost about $1,200 to replace all four. Anything rubber related to suspension, so your bushings, things like that, they wear out sooner on this car than an economy car. The M5 is heavier than most cars and it goes faster and handles better. And if you want it to drive like an M5, you're going to want to replace those bushings with some frequency. I've replaced most of mine at around 110, maybe 120,000 miles. Oil changes also start adding up. They average about $150 for me. I pay an independent mechanic to do it. I'm just sort of lazy, but it's a good opportunity to have the car on the lift, and we both look at it and inspect it, and usually just never turn up anything. Aside from tires, the real killer is brakes. Brakes is expensive on this car. It cost me $2,500 to replace the front set and $700 for the rear set, and that was new pads and rotors. Surprisingly, I've only done it once. It is on the original transmission, clutch, alternator, starter, water pump, radiator, etc. Most of the work done to the car has been by independent mechanics. I do the easy work that doesn't require lift, and it doesn't take that much time, like the chain bolt tensioner. Now we have the four components for the cost of ownership, and the numbers in the beginning of the video are just different ways of looking at the same thing, but let me explain the math. So how did I get these numbers? For the cost per mile, you take the total amount of money you have spent on the car, insurance, gas, maintenance, and depreciation, and you divide that by the total miles driven. When I did it, got 50 cents a mile. How do you get the total cost? Well, add up all the amount that you spent. For this number, I did factor in depreciation, and I got $55,600 for my total cost. To get the yearly cost, just add insurance, gas, and maintenance. I did not include the cost of the car or factor in depreciation. Yearly, I spend $864 on insurance, $2,026 for gas, and $1,955 on maintenance. So here's my take on all the data. The reason this M5 has been so cheap to operate is mainly the low depreciation and the price that I paid for it. The depreciation of the car for the first 10 years went from $73,120 in the year 2000 with 0 miles to $19,500 in 2010 with 67,000 miles. The car has lost $53,620 or 73% of its value from 2010 to 2019 with an additional 100,000 miles on the car. So now the car is at 165,000 miles. The car may have lost, and this is my guess, substantiated with Craigslist, eBay, and Bring a Trailer data, $7,500. It means I'm confident I could sell my car for at least $12,000 right now, which is an additional 10% loss of value from the original cost of $73,000. So the guys that owned it from the year 2000 to 2010 lost 73% of the value, and from 2010 to 2019 it lost an additional 10%. So it pays to buy at the bottom of the depreciation curve. So don't be scared to drive this thing. It's been undervalued for a long time, and people might be waking up to how impressive and practical this car can be. So get one for your daily driver.